Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Four Nations Face-Off recap of Game 1 versus Canada and Sweden of a Four Nations tournament involving Canada, obviously, Sweden, obviously because they played tonight, the United States, because how could you leave them out, and Finland, because, yeah, why not? Going into this game, it's replacing the All-Star game this year. So the All-Star game in past years have been not the best for energy, so I was a little concerned, like, oh, are these players going to take it seriously? Yeah, they very did, and you can very tell early on in the game, like as soon as it started. And yeah, this is fun. Best on best tournament. First time we've had this with NHL players able to do it in about 9 years. So this was a crazy thing to watch, crazy thing to be a part of. This is really, since 2016, obviously the first best on best. So it's the first one that I can really remember and say, yeah, I get to see this. Sidney Crosby, I get to watch him being dominant. Get to see Mitch Marner on this team. Got to see them play against William Nylander. My first time ever cheering against William Nylander. How was that? It was easy. It was easy. Not because I don't love Willie and wouldn't do anything for him. Just because he still plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's just from a different country. Same thing with Austin Matthews tomorrow. He's my favorite player. This jersey right here is signed by him. I wouldn't have got that if he wasn't my favorite player. But I did get it because he is. But you know what? I'm going to be cheering against him because it's Canada all the way. I usually do videos called Leaf Rants. You can check them out on my channel if you're a Leafs fan. If not, you're just here for the Four Nations. Let's continue with that, and let's leave this Leaf stuff behind. So, going into it, one more thing about the Leafs. Nylander, when he was being announced for the opening lineup for Sweden, Nylander got the most boos out of anyone, and he immediately smiles about it. And then they make Austin Matthews walk out. And of course, he gets even more boos. And he just smiles about it, and he gives a little wave. And he said, I was kind of expecting it, so it's all good. I take it as a good thing or maybe a sign of respect. I bet you that is not what people in the Bell Center were wanting them to say about it. They were definitely just booing him. But, okay, back to the game. So, oh yeah, the national anthem for Canada was also, it was pretty brutal, I'll be honest. I don't want to make fun of anyone or be disrespectful to anyone, but yeah, that was pretty bad, and maybe go with a different national anthem singer. Just a thought. So, not even a minute in, William Nylander takes a high sticking penalty, and Canada gets to put out their first power play unit. Now, I bet you're probably wondering who's on this power play unit. Well, let me tell you, it's a bunch of nobodies. It's Cale Makar, Sam Reinhart, Sidney Crosby, old washed-up guy, Nathan MacKinnon, guy who could never get anything really going for him, and Connor McDavid couldn't even win a Stanley Cup. And then they connect. McDavid gets it to Crosby, who gives it back to McDavid, who gives it back to Crosby, who spins around behind the back, gives it to Nathan MacKinnon. 56 seconds in, and Canada is leading 1-0. Yeah, the power play is insane. This team is insane. Then, still in the first, Josh Morrissey absolutely stapled Eriksson Ek, which it wasn't really worth mentioning right now, but that's just for the when I thought the energy wouldn't be any good if there wouldn't be big hitting or anything. There definitely is. So yeah, very interesting. And then Brad Marchand has a 2-on-1 with Braden Point after a nice little play by Colton Parayko, I believe. Point gets it over to Marchand. Marchand taps that in. Easiest goal of his life. I will say, if it's hard to cheer or cheer against anyone, it's hard to cheer for Brad Marchand. Not because Brad Marchand is a bad hockey player, but because he plays for the Bruins and I actually despise him. But under the right circumstances, under that he's only playing for Team Canada, I can get used to it. But that's it for the first. Canada goes in to the first intermission up 1-0, and I believe the shots are 9 or 7 to nothing. Now you might be saying, well, what do you mean Sweden had no shots? Yeah, Sweden had no shots. Well, what do you mean? had to have shot something. No, they had no shots. They didn't shoot a single time. They had no shots in the first period at all. So it was a very easy first period for Jordan Binnington. But he does get tested in the second, I guess. Brodin makes it 2-1, beating Binnington right over the shoulder. And you'd like that one back, for sure. You'd definitely like that one back. That's all I'm going to say about it. Like, learn from that. And yeah. Sweden had a very good pushback to the first of that second period. And then a little bit less. And then Stone makes it 3-1 off of a beautiful pass from, guess who? Sidney Crosby. Put this man on a playoff team. Like, man. Like, I've come to the realization that, like, he's not being traded at all. And if he does decide to get traded anywhere, like, that'd be crazy. But I'd be all in on him if he decided he'd want to get traded. But he won't. Like, he'll be a Penguin for life. But, yeah, and then that's it for the second. And then in the third, Canada announces that Shea Theodore is done for the night. And after the game, they say he's done for the tournament. It's important to say that the Four Nations rules only allow Canada to bring in another player if it falls below 18 healthy skaters. The Leafs have Travis Sanheim and Sam Bennett scratched for Game 1, so they need 2 more injuries. Now, I think today they announced that if they fall below 6 defensemen, they can bring someone up. So I know Simone Benoit's just waiting to get that phone call. No, but realistically, like, I think Tanev should make the team. I don't know. They'll figure it out. But yeah, that was very disappointing. And then Adrian Kempe makes it 3-2 after beating Binnington cleanly. And yep, that's how it's gonna go, eh? Canada has the worst goaltending in the tournament, and they're down a defenseman in this game. And that was not good from Binnington. So 2 bad goals he let in. And then Joel Eriksson ties it at 3. So now it's 3-3. And absolute garbage. It was a good play by Sweden. I'll give them that. But man, does that suck. And then the other way. What a passing play on the tic-tac-toe here by Canada to Devon Toews, who shoots it, and Gustafsson saves it somehow. And I don't know how that doesn't go in. What a save by Gustafsson to keep it tied at 3, and we're going to overtime. At the end of the third, Binnington had to make a couple good plays, big saves, to bring it to overtime. Obviously, so did Sweden. Obviously, the Canada defense, Sweden defense, they all helped out in that too. But in overtime, I thought that's when Binnington really shined. He made 2 big saves, rocking Zibanejad and someone else who I can't remember. But overtime was really annoying. So to note here, win in regulation is 3 points. A win in overtime of the shootout is 2 points. And a loss in the overtime of the shootout is 1 point. And also overtime for this tournament is 3-on-3, but it's 10 minutes long. So it really just seems like the NHL is trying to put in everything that they're, like, all of these rules that hopefully are just going to be rule changes for the next regular season, which I'd be up for. I would. In overtime, obviously, yeah, Binnington had to make those big saves. He kept Canada in it. Sweden was also being a couple of, how do I say this, bums. They were just pulling it back to their zone, not really doing anything. And then once you're like, they have Crosby and McKinnon are off. It's like, yeah, and then McDavid and Marner are coming off the boards. Like, there's no really winning. You know what I mean? Canada has a lot of stars that just absolutely shine. Not saying these other teams don't either, but doing this coming into the zone, just curling back to your own zone is so annoying, and they got booed by the Bell Center. And then Crosby wasn't on for a while. I don't know why, but he wasn't until he came on with Mitch Marner. And Mitch Marner and Sidney Crosby are the duo I never thought I needed, but the duo we deserve. Crosby carries it up, just walking around 3 people into their zone, passes it back for Marner, just barely gets onside. Marner walks in and snipes the thing, and oh my God, Mitch Marner. Mitchell Marner, biggest goal you've ever scored in your career. Not like making fun of him. It's just the Leafs haven't really ever done anything. What a goal by Mitch. Not in the way he scored it. It was, honestly, he just walked in and sniped the thing. Like, it looked like his first goal against Boston, if you've ever seen that. What a play. Assisted by Crosby, who has 3 primary assists in this game. Ooh, that is Team Canada. That is what you expect. That is what you want. And Mitchell Marner wins it for Canada. He does. And it was great to see hockey Twitter, Canadian Twitter, not hating on Mitch Marner for once. It was great to see. He wins it, big goal, and gets second star of the game. The 3 stars and player of the game were third star Lucas Raymond from Sweden, second star Mitch Marner from Canada, and player of the game and first star Sidney Crosby, of course, because why wouldn't it be? Now, the lines are one thing that I think we should talk about. The first line is, I don't know, I'd say it's just the Crosby, McKinnon, Stone line, honestly, where you just have Crosby and McKinnon switching in the faceoff dot for wherever they have the advantage, right? That's what I would keep as the first line. I think they're listed as the second, but that's your first line. Let's be real. Your second line is Reinhart, McDavid, and Marner. Now, that line, apart from a couple early shifts in the first, wasn't really getting too much done. And I don't blame it on Mitch Marner or Sam Reinhart. It just looked like McDavid, and it just looked like it was a McDavid line. It just looked like it was only McDavid. He would rush it, and that's when they'd get offense. And it's not a dip on either of those guys that he's playing with. I think Reinhart should stay up there with McDavid. I think Marner should move down to the third line, not as a demotion, but as honestly just a better line. That third line was -2 all night, and I think Mitch Marner really helps it out there. The thing with Connor McDavid is he takes the initiative, and he really likes to rush the play, and so does Mitch Marner. So you have 2 guys who always want the puck on their stick, always want to be making plays. And I just think they cross over too much, and it just doesn't work out. So if you move Marner down, he can play with 2 more defensive responsible players who also have an offensive upside, and you can score goals, play well defensively, and have 3 solid lines. 4 solid lines. And then on D, I don't know. Like what other defenseman? They're allowed to notify one other defenseman that he's next up. My choice, maybe you can say it's the Leaf fan bias. It's Chris Tanev. I think Chris Tanev would be great. He's a great shutdown man, blocking shots all the time. Like, why wouldn't you love to have Chris Tanev? But yeah, we'll see what they can do. That's it for Game 1. Game 2 is tonight. Finland versus the USA. So, yeah. Thank you very much for watching this. If you liked it, please click like. If you really liked it, clicking subscribe is great. Yeah, this is the 4 Nations. We'll be making a video after every Canadian game. So, yeah, thank you very much.